Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that you're all doing well. My name is Wahid, and I am currently in very chilly Cape Town, South Africa. So, to my colleagues in the Southern Hemisphere, I hope that you're all keeping nice and warm. So today is such an exciting day. I mean, I'm really just so excited at this alumni panel. Today we have with us, of course, all of our young scientists in the room on the other side of the screen, and the people that I can see with me today, Pelagia, Tonya Radzwa, and Vivian. And, it's so exciting because we are all alumni of science fairs. We all were once on the other side, as participants in the science fairs. And it's really just such an honor to be here today, to be able to come and speak about, everyone's journeys, as well as how to see where everyone is at the moment, as well as to get advice on how we can all find our pathways, especially after the science fair, as we progress through our educations and get into higher education. So without me speaking too much, I feel like I'm just so excited to get started. I'd like to already dive right in. And let's see. For me, I'm currently, just to briefly introduce myself, I'm currently in my fourth year of medical studies here at the University of Cape Town. I participated in the Science Buskers Festival way back in 2018. So now I feel quite old. But let's see if we can just get a brief introduction from each person, so that we can just hear about where you are currently. So let's hear a bit from Pelagia.
Okay. My name is Pelagia Majoni, and I'm currently in North Carolina in the US. And I participated in the science fair way back in 2017. And I'm now a software engineer at Microsoft. So I'm happy to be here to share my insights in the career panel.
Fantastic. That is awesome. So, Pelagia, I saw that you're currently working at Microsoft, I believe, in OneDrive, right? And SharePoint.
Yes,
That
OneDrive.
is so cool. Every time I use OneDrive now, I'm going to think of you. It is amazing. So cool. Tonya Radzwa, let's hear about you.
Yeah, thank you for the intro, Wahid, and nice to see Pelagia and Vivian again. Yeah, my name is Tonya. I participated in ASBF as a volunteer and other science fairs. Currently, I'm in Seattle, Washington, also software engineer at Amazon.
Oh, wow. Okay, that is awesome. So what are you allowed to tell us what type of work you do at Amazon?
Well, I work in AWS, which is the more or less known part of Amazon. Basically, they have web services that provide functionality for the cloud.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So that's the backbones of the internet. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Welcome to Izzy Pozonke. I see that he's just managed to join us. Izzy, yes, I see you've got the stethoscope around the neck. You just come out of a ward round.
Good morning, everybody, or shall I say good afternoon? I think it's afternoon time in Africa right now, at least African Central Time. I'm about to have a work shift. I'm about to have around in an hour from now. So I had to set up to arrive early.
I'm so glad that you can make it with us. What time is it with all our colleagues? So, I mean, is everyone just confirming? I feel like all of our colleagues who are on this call are on that side of the planet at the moment, isn't it? So it's morning for everyone here, right?
Well,
Besides
except
me,
for
okay.
those who are in the
Yeah, no,
east coast.
all of our colleagues back. Yeah, so I'm with all our participants. I'm here in Cape Town, South Africa. So we are in African time zone at the moment. Yes, but our other panelists today, it is all good morning to you. That's awesome. So let's just hear a little bit about you, Izzy. Like, what are you currently up to? I know you're a pre-med student, right? So just tell us a little bit briefly, just before we move on to Vivian.
Of course. Thank you. I'm a pre-med student at Biola University in Southern California. Um, and yeah, I'm a rising senior, which means I'm about to begin my fourth year studies. I'm the student body president currently at my university, which means I just get to oversee a team of about 30 people whose job is to advocate for students and put students forward. I get to be the only voice that enters into certain upper administrative meetings as a representative of the students. And I get sometimes to visit other universities on conferences and stuff like that to talk about student matters. So it's so cool getting to bridge the gap between moving from the clinical side of things in healthcare all the way through to advocacy and student advocacy. I'm currently doing an internship right now I'm rotating in orthopedic trauma, so which is exciting. I know Wahid probably can relate a little bit to that, but yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, Izzy. On that note, actually, I'm in my fourth year at the moment, and today was the first day I saw a C-section. So I'm still recovering from that experience. So let's hear a little bit from Vivian. So Vivian, where are you currently? How's things going your side?
Hi everyone. So my name is Vivian, and I am also a rising senior, which means I'll be graduating next year from my undergraduate degree, and I'm studying business analytics at MIT, where I'm also serving as the vice president of the African Students Association, and also doing research with different labs. So yeah, and I'm at MIT, which is in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
That's amazing. Wow, that is so cool, Vivian. That's amazing. And I love to see that, all of our panelists today, we have quite a wide variety. We have professionals, we have students, we have advocates, we have leaders. Everyone's doing a bit of everything, which is so amazing. And, it gives me so much of, it just makes me so excited and so much of hope to see, all the amazing things that everyone is doing at the moment. So I just like to, I'm just seeing that there's some common themes here. So I see that, Tonya and Pelagia, both of you are currently working in the tech industry. And, I know that you're currently, how do you currently see the tech landscape, especially when you consider Africa at large? What sort of opportunities in tech do you think that students should be looking out for, perhaps, or maybe when they're looking at career paths, what sort of advice would you have for them? You can choose. Let's go with Tanya first.
Yeah, I think there are many, many opportunities out there. I think in my particular field, we're software engineering. There recently, it's been kind of hard because of I think there are recent layoffs, and so companies are kind of trying to recover from that. So interviews have been hard for positions in tech. but I think there are opportunities that are targeted specifically for underrepresented individuals in tech. So that could be people of color, Black people, women as well. So there are plenty of opportunities in that regard. Yeah. Pelagia, do you have anything you can add on to that maybe?
Yeah, I agree with the thing about the layoffs, that it has made recruiting more difficult for the traditional tech companies because everyone is trying to hire less people. But I think in the African tech landscape, there's still a lot of opportunities. And one thing that comes to mind is how a lot of companies, a lot of businesses in Zimbabwe, for example, they need a lot of services like website services, they need data analytics. So I would recommend, like, if you ever interested in tech, to try and see if you can get an internship or apprenticeship with any of the local companies to start with, and see if there's anything you can help them with tech wise, if you're already interested in the tech space. And if you're not already in the tech space but you want to get in, there are also pathways for African students to join that are becoming more and more accessible. So a lot of universities have their courses online available for free, like where Vivian goes, MIT. If you search on Google MIT open courseware, you see a lot of courses on computer science, computer design, even artificial intelligence, which is what everyone is talking about. And all these courses are available at no charge. So that's one way to enter the tech landscape, is if you have a computer and you can just watch these videos and follow along. And another way is to also have a mentor by your side. So if you can reach out to any tech professional you know, they'll more likely be very happy to help guide you along, because sometimes you get stuck as you're following through this alone. So just reaching out to anyone, even a lecturer, a professional, to just be your guide. And that's a way to get started. And once you have that experience, you can now go and try to offer the skills you have to any local businesses around you, because they most likely need something from you.
Wow, that's awesome. So, like, from both of you, you've got so much to unpack, in terms of, what you're saying. First of all, Tanya, which is so important regarding representation in technology. I mean, for very long, I feel that, Africa, we are often in the world, we've always been the consumers, in terms of, the world has been, like, we use technology so much. But the thing is, it's for quite a while, there's almost been a pattern where research and a lot of things that have been happening have been without us. And now there's a change in Africa where we're saying, you know what, we're actually going to also go out and create. We're going to contribute to research. We want to have, we need to have appropriate solutions for the problems that we have. And so what you're saying regarding having representation in tech, it's really important. And also what you're saying, thank you so much, Pelagia, for the, the insight that you're giving regarding the importance of mentorship, as well as, ways of getting involved in tech from now, even just as a student, to figure out and, find your feelers in the space. So I'd like to ask the two of you, before we move on a bit to Izzy and Vivian, I'd just like to know, what was your main inspiration for getting into the fields that you now are working in? We can go with this time. Pelagia can go first.
I decided to get into the tech space because I saw like so many opportunities, so many things I could do. Like, for example, as soon as I took one of my first math classes in college, it was about modeling and being able to determine what happens in the future from current data. And a lot of the things we're using were like software programs to be able to make those predictions. And it just opened a whole new world of possibilities for me to know that we can create technology to help us make better decisions. So that's how I initially joined tech, especially looking back at home and some of the problems we face. I saw that we could solve them just by having more data, generating more insights. For example, in the agriculture space, sometimes we don't really know like how the seasons are constantly changing, but we can utilize the information that we have, the most recent information, to see, to kind of be able to tell when is a good time to try and start farming or to start harvesting. So data is very important. And I quickly realized that in my math class, and I wanted to do more with information, be able to derive more insights. That's why I decided to join the tech space, because of all the things that I could see myself doing or creating in that field.
That's amazing. Thank you, Pelagia. Like it's really amazing to see that, the way that wonder, and I understand what you're saying regarding like when you start, especially when you start looking into a field, and then that wonder that just opens your mind to the possibilities, and it's really inspiring. And I'm sure that all our young scientists watching today also have experienced those little eureka moments when they were working on their projects that made them realize, you know what, this is where I feel at home. This is what I feel like, I want to explore and what I want to work with. So let's hear a little bit, from Tonya regarding, what was your inspiration? What was your driving force?
Yeah, I also kind of had that eureka moment. I think for me, it was in high school actually when I stumbled upon some documentaries. These are like biographies and documentaries about tech companies like Google, Facebook, Microsoft, how they all began. And I noticed a lot of these things started from basically maybe a basement, someone's basement. So that motivated me. And I was so curious about computers. So I started to find some courses online to try teaching myself how to code. And so, yeah, that was in high school. I actually wanted to do computer science for A level, but my options were extremely limited for where I could go to school with computer science. But fortunately enough, I was able to do computer science in college. And yeah, I fell nothing short of loving it. Coding is, it's really amazing to see that you can create functional things with just your computer. You don't have to be in a lab or anything, a lab setting. That's one of the unique advantages of this field. And so, yeah, that was my reason for getting into this field.
Oh, thanks, Tanya. And what you're saying is so powerful regarding that you don't need a lab to create something functional. And I really personally, I mean, for me, I'm currently in the medical side of things. And I mean, traditionally, we think that medicine itself, the only way we can do it is in front of a patient physically, or in a hospital. The past year, I actually took a break and took a year to do an intercalated like science degree in bioinformatics, and that's computational biology, where you actually work with genetic data and you sit behind a computer screen, but actually the outcomes of that type of research, and I feel that like can actually really impact patient outcomes. I mean, for example, some of the findings that people that are currently making in those spaces, even though it's like virtual research per se, I mean, it's stuff that you're doing behind a computer, can actually make such an impact on the real world in terms of healthcare outcomes for patients. So it's really something that, just as I am personally biased towards computational biology because I worked in it for a year, but I know something that I just would really recommend to all our young scientists to look into, especially if you're interested in the intersection between biology and computers. Look into bioinformatics, look into those spaces. There's a lot of things that you can get started with right at home, to get in this space. So, I want to actually move our discussion a bit towards Izzy and Vivian, who are currently now studying, over in the US. I'd like to know a little bit about your experiences, in terms of moving abroad, such a big step, and I'm sure many of our young scientists here today are also, looking at considering where they're going to be studying, etc. So, like, can you maybe just share a bit about that journey of moving abroad and what's that experience been like for you? So let's start with Vivian.
Thank you, Wahid. I think for me, moving abroad was a very exciting thing, just in terms of like the opportunity, to be able to be at MIT and all the resources that are there. But it was also a really scary thing, because I think MIT is a place where nothing is introductory level. everything is really you're stepping in with some sort of knowledge. And so it was really difficult to like ground myself in a particular field, think about, what do I already know, and what do I want to do in the future. So for example, like in the Zimbabwe Science Fair, Africa Science Buskers Festival, it was mostly like projects that were like sustainability focused. That's mostly what I did. And then I get to college and I realize, I want to get more into data analytics and more into data science. But this is something that's completely new to me, compared to like my peers. And so that's something that was a bit daunting, and I had to put in more effort and like really find motivation to like accept that I'm beginning, but I can still like learn, I can still catch up. There are ways in which I can, try to learn the things I don't already know, whether it be like through the online courses or through just like humbling myself enough to ask for help from friends, going to office hours, and that's just extra help that you can get from your teaching assistants after class, that sort of thing. Yeah, I guess I'll just pass it over.
Yeah. And thank you, Vivian. That's really, what you're saying is very real and very true. I mean, anyone would, I'm sure Izzy would agree. I can see he's already nodding his head. So let's hear from Izzy what he has to say.
I totally agree on so many different levels. I think the transitionary period, you have a honeymoon phase when you're transitioning from a different country to a different country, particularly from Africa. For my case, from South Africa, all the way to a completely different country. There's a honeymoon phase where you're excited, to try this, to take this big step, to try these new things. But then after a couple months, you are trusted with a different academic system, a different culture, a different environment in general. Um, that is completely gonna shock you. For me, I was first gen, I'm kind of sure that that might be the same case for many of us in this call, which means we're the first in our families to pursue not only a degree but to pursue a degree abroad. So that came with its own challenges of navigating the system, coming from an upbeat, fast-paced system in South Africa that's regurgitation based. It's all about memorization and recollection, to a system in America where it's like everything is spread out, and every single thing you do matters. uh, you get tested weekly, you get evaluated weekly so that you are continually engaging with your information, which is contrary to what I had experienced in high school, where everything builds up to, and there's like a big major exam that's worth 80% of your grade for that year. And if you bomb that, you bomb the whole year. So it was a different thing of like every single step matters, and it's all about the development, rather than this regurgitation. So there's stuff to navigate that was kind of challenging to navigate there. And in the academic sector, there was some stuff that we knew. American English is completely different from the English we use in in Africa, because our English is kind of British leaning. So there's some language stuff to navigate there. I'm sorry, but I'm going to talk about the intangible, like those types of stuff that typically don't pop up in discussions. I think I never heard of anybody say anything like that while I was doing my prep for America. So and it was one of those things that were like, oh, here they are. So there was that type of a situation where everything is kind of like that. And and to even piggyback off the previous speaker, I think university in America in general requires you to have some kind of background when you're stepping in. It's relatable. It's not just MIT to, to to say that. It's honestly, we got it here too. Um, so it's here. And it's and especially there are some courses. I joined the honors program for literature and the great books, and it kind of required everybody to be well versed in like the great books and literature and American politics, uh, you know. And then as an international student from South Africa, it was like I don't know anything about American politics, so it's supposed to be kind of like that. So there are some stuff there to note, but be encouraged that it all ends up falling into place, and it makes you even more versatile as a student.
Thank you, Izzy, and thank you, Vivian. It's just such a, everything that you said, like so far, I mean, just this afternoon, everything you've been discussing, everything is so multi-layered, so intricately. I mean, it's very real. So thank you, firstly, for all of your because that's what we want. That's what we want. All your honesty and the actual guidance and advice. Like we always say that we must listen to those who have done it, who are going through it, so that we also can have a bit of an advantage of seeing what it's there, in front of us. So it's a bit of a view. So, to all our young scientists here, hearing about everyone's journeys, I hope that it's useful to you to, know about, what's possibly ahead, and, some lessons that you can all take from everyone's, different experiences. Izzy, what you speak about in terms of every step matters. And that is very true. From that first time, we open up that science textbook to the time that you complete your degrees at, a tertiary institution one day, every single little step, all the people that help you along the way, it's really just so important to acknowledge that, acknowledging our families. For many of us, Izzy, what you said regarding first generation, it's something that's a truth for many of us in Africa. I mean, for me as well, it's the same thing, and it's so important to note that, that when you actually go to tertiary education, and especially, I mean, to our panelists here today, you're not just representing yourselves, but you're representing those behind, all those people before you who have put in so much to, allow that opportunity to be there. You are also representing us in Africa, you are there, you are flying the flag high. So, really, I have to hats off to all of you. And in terms of Vivian, what you're saying regarding, don't feel hard to ask for help. It's really just something that it's a universal rule, I think, for life, that we should all, inculcate and take it with us forward, in terms of we have the specialists available. Sometimes, I learned it's harsh in this internal medicine block that I was just in last 2 months ago. And sometimes it might feel a bit embarrassing to ask for help when you're in the stages of, before you're being examined. But then by the time exams come, you'd rather have been embarrassed to ask the question initially, or show like you're not sure, and be able to fix it up, instead of coming to that breaking point when you're not ready. So it's always important to ask for help before things get bad. So I'd like to just ask all our panelists today what advice they would given themselves way back, when they were in the science fairs, when they were on the other end of the room. What would you have liked to know? What would you have wished someone else told you? So I'd like to hear first. I'm not going to, people can speak as they'd like, and then you can, yeah, I won't pick on anyone specifically. You can start. It's an open floor.
I think for me, what I would have wanted to know looking back is that I should start where I can. So like what Tonya was saying, that like a lot of things you need a lab to be able to do them. But you look at your situation and you don't have, for example, a lab, or you don't have everything that you think you need to start. So you can start with what you have. If you have a computer, you start by checking the courses, the supplemental courses that are available online, that Vivian mentioned, for example. And just to do like a quick list of places I would go to get the courses: MIT OpenCourseWare, edX, YouTube, and you can Google a lot of universities and the course you want to take, and you see that they're probably available for free. So those are the places where I would go and learn something new. Even though you might not have a lab right now, you can go and learn these courses. And I might be biased because I'm in the tech field, but for example, say you learned something about computer science or something about how to code, you can now go onto your laptop. Even if it doesn't have internet, you can open a PowerShell window or a Linux terminal if you have that software. and you just start trying to type out what you were learning. And with time, it starts all coming together to create meaningful functions that you can use to achieve small tasks. So that's where I would have started, just playing around with what I have and asking for help, which is what someone just said. Izzy just said it right now. And in my language, we have a proverb that says, "Mwana asingacheme anofira mubereko." It means if you don't cry, you will die. If you're a child, so you really have to ask for help. Even now that I'm a professional, I still ask for help. But I think just approach asking for help a little different is what I would advise myself. So you ask for help by saying, "This is what I've done. This is the work I've done. This is what I found. This is where I'm struggling. And where can I go from here? This is where I'm stuck." So basically, try to tell the person you're asking for help what you've already done, what you've already accomplished, so that they don't go back and tell you what you already know. And they also know that you've put on some effort. That way they can also put in some effort. That's it.
Thank you, Praja. Wow, that is really amazing. Thank you for sharing this with everyone. And I know that our young scientists are already getting the PowerShell windows open, ready to start, and looking at TEDx, looking at all the resources available. Especially with AI nowadays, we have for those of us with access. If you're able to access ChatGPT, there's so much available to try to use to help us. So let's see. Tanya, Vivian, Izzy, floor is yours.
I'll just quickly add on. I agree with what Pelagia said. I think if I was still like doing a science fair, one thing I would do different would be, I know it's kind of intimidating when you see other projects that seem way better than yours that you've brought to the science fair or festival. But don't be intimidated. Just try to learn from the people who are doing those projects. Ask them questions about how they came up with it, like what resources do they need. Yeah, try to learn from people who might be a step ahead of you, rather than falling under imposter syndrome, which is feeling like you don't belong there. But yeah, use those opportunities to learn.
Thanks, Tanya. And what you say regarding imposter syndrome, it's such a thing. And especially, I think once you embark, from your journey onwards from high school and you start, and I think it just gets, it sometimes can just get worse once you get to university. But I know even from science fairs, that's when I felt it probably for some of the first time, and I still sometimes try to battle that. And, it's something that I remember one of these professors that we have, he's from here at UCT, and once he was speaking about it, and he said that, you have to, the biggest supporter, you have to be your biggest supporter. You have to, back yourself in the sense that if you don't, no one else will. And I know it sounds cliche, but, as once you start internalizing it and knowing that you're putting in the work, you're putting in the effort, you're deserving of being where you are, because that's what, and I mean, for those who are religious and spiritual, we are all here for a reason. And, if you push that type of narrative in your head, try to stay positive, and that's important. And let's see now for our next advice. Let's see, Vivian or Izzy, who's going next?
I think such powerful points have been laid forward. Um, you know, to piggyback off of that, one of my professors said, "Your biggest competition is yourself." I think so easily we get roped into the tornado of imposter syndrome and the anxiety that comes up after that. It starts in a simple thing with comparing yourself to somebody else, or comparing your work to somebody else. And something that we need to be confronted and be reminded of is that you are than you. um, that sounds like an inspirational quote that's supposed to be on a wall, but just like what he'd said, um, your story is different, your circumstance is different, your journey, your methodology, the way you think, the way you come up with ideas is different. It's you're uniquely crafted in your own way, and the sooner we get to realize how different we are, the sooner and the quicker we'll be able to get to the places we desire to get. Because sometimes some of the things that hold us back are those thoughts. I wish I was told that it's okay to be non-traditional. I don't need to have a traditional route. I don't need to have these resources in order to get where I want to get. I wish I was told that it's possible, that it's doable, that there's a way, and there is a starting point. And yes, you are on the right track, even if you fumble along the way, and even if your project doesn't produce the results that you aspire it to produce. In science, in the science world, I did a lot of scientific uh, projects, because some people did the engineering aspect of it. I did more of the scientific methods. Your wrongs and your failures matter too. There's a quote from a movie. I'm pretty sure it's Pirates of the Caribbean. That and one of the guys says, "It's the Bible. You get credit for trying." Uh, and I wish we could apply that mindset on so many other things in our lives, even as young scientists, or even as scientists, or as professionals in STEM. Uh, that hey, this is your project. You get credit for trying, and all of that builds up and takes you. Nothing that you can ever do when it comes to knowledge, the pursuit of knowledge, can ever be in vain. um, so hold on to what you aspire to be, and don't let go, because what you hold on to is exactly what's going to carry you over to the destination you're trying to reach.
Such beautiful words, Izzy. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. It's really very powerful what you said, especially, just staying positive, as well as, staying true to our unique stories that we all have, and, being aware of that, and continuously, going forward with that positive mindset. Vivian, what would you, say that you wish that you would have been told, or what you would have recommended for your, like, wish that someone told you back then?
Thank you everyone just for what you shared. I think a lot of it was very relatable to me. And I think something I wish someone would have told me, or like I would have known probably, was to Izzy's point that it's okay to be non-traditional in a sense. Um and I'm saying that just in the science fair landscape. I feel like after my first project, a lot of the projects I was doing, it was like I'm trying to stay within that sustainability bubble, because I feel like, I've already had experience in that area, so I'll most likely like do okay there. But I think it would have been nice to know that it was okay for me to explore other topics, and to really sit down with myself and think about what is it that I want to do in this moment, what is it that I'm excited about, that I'm passionate about, um, and then think about projects from there. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like it's difficult sometimes to think about pivoting, but sometimes it's if that's the path for you, it's okay to pivot. There's no one direction. You don't need to like particularly do project in a specific category, maybe because you've been doing it for that long, or because a lot of people do it there. um, you can branch out even if there's no one in the science fair who's particularly like doing project in that category. If it's something that excites you, there's ways to learn, there's ways to grow, and you can definitely pivot, get help, and still explore different topics. Yeah, I guess that's what I would tell myself.
That's lovely, Vivian. Thank you so much. Really, especially what you're, as collectively, what you've built upon each other's, that's what I love, that this panel had a lot of synergy. Everyone was building off each other's ideas. I just wish that, we were all physically together in the same space. But I have to say that, it was such a pleasure speaking to all of you and hearing, all the stories. And I'm really grateful that our connections were all stable enough that we were able to converse this, well today. And, what you're saying, Vivian, regarding it, that it's okay to pivot, and what Izzy was saying earlier, like sometimes you wouldn't get the results you want. It's okay to sometimes even fail. It's okay if you not get what you exactly wanted in the outcome. Something that I feel like that I feel like someone said this before, but in terms of a good scientist is not someone who like gets the results they want, but a good scientist is someone who goes and tries again, pivots, adjusts their strategy until they get the results that they wouldn't have even known that they wanted, because it would surpass the expectations. And that's the thing, that sometimes things might not seem that they're going the way that you want, or the traditional route, but and I'm sure that everyone here would agree that, if when they were in their science fairs, they wouldn't have no idea where their lives would be right now. Think about it, that I'm not too sure how your school systems are in terms of when you choose your subjects, but if I have to tell myself, when I chose, if I had to go a few years before I chose my subjects, would I have known what subjects I would have chosen? Probably not. Would I have known what career I would have chosen? When I initially started high school, I thought that I was probably going to go and do electrical engineering. And then suddenly, when I was actually in my matric year, my final year, my mom was hospitalized, and spending so much of time in the hospital actually made me realize, what, I enjoy medicine. Sometimes the universe brings things to us that we have no idea what changes the way. So perhaps, if when you get inspired, you see, for example, like your project might not work out the way you want, or maybe something might just not seem that it's going the right way. Maybe that's just a sign to pivot and change, just be creative and adjust. And that is what makes a good scientist, someone who can adapt. So I really appreciate, everyone's engagement today. I really wish that I could see all of you young scientists, physically in front of me. But, I'm sending all of you virtual hugs and pats on the back for, all the amazing work that you're all doing. And, I really, if anyone is ever in Cape Town, please do feel free to reach out. More than happy to give you a tour of the Table Mountain. Absolutely. It's very cold at the moment, but do come in the warmer months. But yeah, no, I really appreciate it. Is there any parting words from anyone here before we close the session?
I would say thank you so much to you, Wahid. Big shout out to Knowledge Chikundi, a midwife of dreams. He does a lot, and so many students, and so many of us even here have been impacted by us. And I think he's one of our underappreciated heroes. So big shout out to him. And yeah, just encourage the young scientists to reach out. We are all available to help. Let me not volunteer everyone else, but I'm going to volunteer myself as well. Before I volunteer everyone else, and people are like, why did you do that? But yeah, we are all available. You can reach out if you're thinking about studying abroad, if you're thinking about pursuing an education abroad, or you don't know where to go, what to do. We're always available to help. Talk to Mr. Chikundi or anybody else. They have our contact details. We'll be more than happy to help, to advise, to provide some guidance, support. I know I needed an alumni, somebody who was ahead, to tell me that it's possible. So definitely, please reach out. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Issy. And yeah, you're not just following. I also share the same sentiments. If anyone would like to ever reach out, please feel free to. I see Samarth has been asking for our LinkedIn profiles. We'll reach out to Mr. Chikundi to maybe have the links in an outgoing email, perhaps after the session. We'll try to get all our LinkedIn profiles attached to that. And Mr. Chikundi, whilst what Izzy said it's really true. Mr. Chikundi, if it wasn't for him, none of us would be here today speaking to each other. For me personally, Mr. Chikundi had such, an immense impact, and I'm sure with everyone here today, in terms of bringing us all together, teaching us the importance of science communication, the importance that it has in Africa, the amount of work that he's doing. Really, just God bless Mr. Chikondi for the amazing work that he's doing, and all the organizers of this amazing Zimbabwe Science Fair and the African Science Buskers Festival. And it makes me so happy to see this growing each year. I mean, 350 participants this year. It's fantastic. So really, it's amazing. Let's Tanya, Vivian, Pelagia, if there's anything you want to say before we bid everyone farewell.
I would just ditto what Izzy Pozonke said. Yeah, feel free to reach out. I cannot personally guarantee that I will have the time and capacity to respond, but I would absolutely love to help. Yeah.
Thanks, Tanya. Yeah, Vivian?
I was also going to say that we're always happy to help and you can reach out. But again, I don't want to volunteer everyone, although people seem to be volunteering themselves. But I guess something else is just to keep doing what you're doing. Just keep putting in the work. Like Izzy said, every step matters. And so, like, even if you think that whatever you're working on right now, you think you're not getting the results that you want, and maybe it's not like a significant step, at the end of the day, that's something to put on your resume. That's something that's teaching you a lot about like research and drawing conclusions and things that you can use in college and in the industry in the future. And so just like best wishes to everyone, and thank you to Mr. Chikundi and the entire team.
Yeah, and just to add to what Vivian said about like no experience is wasted, like whatever you're doing right now, she said like you can pivot to something else, but you find in the future, you find that like what you did, and even though you thought it did not help you then, you find that you apply it in the future. There's so much intersectionality that is very necessary to be innovative. So nothing you're doing is for waste. Everything you're doing all builds up towards something that will be more meaningful and helpful to you. And also, please reach out to me. Ask Mr. Chikundi for my details. I'm very happy to help. Let me know what you're doing, what you've done. If there's anything you're stuck at that I can help, I'm excited to engage with you all. And thank you so much, Mr. Knowledge, for all the amazing work you do. Thank you very, very much. We can never thank you enough.
Thanks, everyone. It was really lovely seeing all of your faces, and hopefully it's not the last time that I do. So yeah, please take care and stay warm. Enjoy. Have a lovely day.